J'y vais là. Bonsoir, good evening, everyone. Bienvenue. We will now call the meeting to order. Madame la greffière.
Deputy Mayor, all public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated. Hearing devices are available. You have the right to address City Council in the official language of your choice. Meetings are also simulcast in both languages on the City of Moncton's YouTube channel and can be found on our website at moncton.ca. If you're registered with the City Clerk's office prior to the agenda deadline, 7 days before the meeting, you'll be given 5 minutes for your presentation. Other public presentations will be given 2 minutes. You'll receive a reminder when 1 minute is remaining. Please note, no presenter shall speak disrespectfully of council, staff, or a member of the general public. The use of offensive or profane language will not be tolerated. Any breach of this guideline may result in the presenter being asked to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Un service d'interprétation simultanée est offert durant nos réunions. Vous avez le droit de parler dans la
Simultaneous interpretation is offered throughout this meeting. You have the right to address council in the official language of your choice. Meetings are also simultaneous in both English and French on the City of Moncton's YouTube channel and can be found on our website at moncton.ca. If you have registered with the City Clerk's office prior to the agenda being published, that is 7 days before the meeting, you will have 5 minutes for your presentation. Other public presentations will be given 2 minutes. No presenter shall speak disrespectfully of council, staff, or a member of the general public. The use of offensive or profane language shall not be tolerated. Any breach of this guideline may result in the presenter being asked to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have an agenda. Yes. Are there any changes to the agenda? Any changes? There are none. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Legere and Councillor Clifton. So please raise your hand to vote if you're in favor. Thank you.
Conflict of interest, les déclarations des conflits d'intérêts.
Est-ce qu'il y a des conflits d'intérêts, conflicts of interest? No.
Adoption of minutes, adoption du procès-verbal de la réunion du 2 décembre.
Approval of minutes for December 2nd.
Minutes before you, do I have a mover and a seconder for the minutes, please? Conseiller Steves and Conseiller Léger. Any questions? So on the questions, all those in favor signify by a show of hand. Donc, tout le monde, so motion carried.
Okay.
Madame la greffière.
Next is consent agenda, les questions soumises par l'approbation du conseil. And this evening we have street closure pour les funérailles d'Antoine Maillet.
So do we need a motion for that,
Yes.
Madame la greffière? So could I have a mover and a seconder for that, Conseiller Léger, Conseiller Edgett? Any questions? Je comprends pas, il y a une question?
No.
Don't. So on the questions, all those in favor?
We're going to vote electronically on this.
Oh oui, excusez-moi.
C'est correct.
Électronique, donc c'est beau. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Next are public and administration presentations, and we have one public presentation, les exposés du public ce soir. Presentation from Ola, New Brunswick, Ana Lucia Perez. If you can make your way to the podium.
Bonsoir. Thank you for being here this evening. Go ahead, please.
Can you just push the button? There you go.
Good afternoon, members of the council, esteemed guests, and members of our community. My name is Milene de la Rosa. My colleagues, Ana Lucia Perez and Ana Santana, we are honored to be here representing Hola New Brunswick. Our organization is dedicated to supporting primarily Latin American newcomers in their settlement journey. Today, we will share insights of the Hola Registered Newcomers and the Hola Survey 2025, shedding light on their education, school choice, the impact of recent immigration policy change, and efforts we make to help newcomers integrate into their new communities. Moncton has seen an increasing number of Latin American migrants over the past years. The largest growth of Latin American newcomers come from Colombia, Mexico, Chile, and the Dominican Republic. These communities are bringing invaluable skills, culture, and diversity to Moncton. The largest immigration status upon arrival is international students. Most of them and their families become permanent residents a few years after arrival. There are also newcomers that arrive with closed work permits and other status. 50% of the Latin American newcomers' families arrive with children. Francophone school selection, and 82% of children aged 5 to 10 who arrive between 2024 and 2022 are enrolled in Francophone schools. This trend is important in increasing bilingualism in our community.
Good afternoon. I will continue with the presentation. We asked the Latin American newcomers what is their highest academic level achieved. 10% have college or technical degree, 39% have a bachelor's degree, 45% have 1 or 2 master's degree, and only 2% have PhDs. They indicated having training and experience in many important areas. However, 53% expressed that it is difficult or very difficult to find employment in their fields, while 24% expressed that it is as impossible. This highlights a significant issue that we as a community must help to address. Hola New Brunswick offers pre-arrival workshops, in-person organization sessions, and specialized workshops to help newcomers be prepared and navigate their new environment. In 2024-2025 alone, over 939 newcomers participated in Hola activities, which focus on initial needs such as finding housing, enrolling in school, children in school, employment readiness, access to public services, and other important topics. Regarding the new immigration policies, our survey found that 56% of respondents expressed that their immigration process has been impacted. Their testimonies speak of uncertainty, frustration, and the constant need to modify their carefully thought out plans to ever-changing regulations. As one respondent said, "We arrived with plan A, moved to plan B, and are now on plan G. It has been heartbreaking and exhausting." Overall, newcomers bring skills, experience, and a deep desire to help our community grow and prosper. It is important that we all work together in welcoming and including newcomers and their families to ensure that Moncton remains a united, thriving home for all. Thank you for your time and your commitment to this important conversation. And at Hola, we look forward to working together for a stronger and more inclusive future.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I believe we have some questions. Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire.
Thank you, Madam, Your Worship. Muchas gracias. 2 comments.
I strongly encourage your group to encourage your members to continue speaking in Spanish or Portuguese for Brazilians. It is a huge individual benefit, but also it would enrich our community as well. So for your children, The research is very obvious. Anybody who speaks more than one language has between 2 and 3 years of life without catching mental diseases like Alzheimer's or other dementia if you speak more than one language. So it's their benefit, but also for jobs, obviously, opportunities and everything else. I have a question. In my councillor's statements later on, I will propose that council invite the federal candidates to the federal election of April 28th in order to ask them, all the parties, all the candidates, what their party or themselves personally will be doing for X, Y, Z, whatever issue. Would you like us, if we go ahead with it, if the candidates accept, would you like us to ask them what their platform, party, their individual themselves, their candidates, would do for immigration or in the field of immigration over the next 4 years? Would that be a good question to ask, or would you rather ask yourselves?
So that's, thank you very much for your question. That is a very important topic. And I believe that our community would be interested in seeing your questions to them, but also perhaps contributing with some questions of their own. I don't know if it's possible, but that would be wonderful. And I think that they would like to participate.
Okay, if so, there's a lot of ifs. If council agrees, if the candidates accept, if we can find a venue in time, I'll give you my email address. You can send me the question or questions that you would like to be asked. Danielle.bourgeois@moncton.ca.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, merci, merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Councillor Bourgeois.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for, I'm over here. There you go. Yeah. Thanks for the presentation. A suggestion might be as well to ask that you present at the Chamber of Commerce, their next meeting. I think it's important. There has been, I'm told, a lot of movement from business entities to take a look at this was a blanket decision federally in terms of limiting immigration across the country, but yet not every province are in the same scenario as others. And so I know there's been some discussions back and forth. It is timely with the federal election because I think that, you outline some of the strengths that people from away bring to our community, and I think it would be very important. And they're a very strong voice within our community in New Brunswick, and certainly I think that would be, extremely helpful. And again, I think the more you tell your story, I think that it's important that we truly understand that you didn't cause the problem, of lack of affordable housing and all of the issues that we have. Long ago, we were talking about our main issue in many provinces was the lack of workers. And so, but no one obviously looked closer to say, well, when the workers arrive, they actually have to have a place to live. And there were a variety of different other factors, as you know, that happened. So the blame shouldn't be on one particular area. I think collectively we can work strongly together. And so I think that would be, certainly something the Chamber of Commerce would can be helpful with. And as a city, as you know, we're trying our best to increase the amount of affordable housing and housing in general. It doesn't help in terms of the recognition of skills that you bring, but yet the province has moved quite forward with that recently. So again, through your MLAs, give the same message, and I think it will be reinforced. So thank you for coming, and certainly please send your questions because I think it's really important. So thank you, merci.
Merci, Conseiller Léger. Thank you again for coming. Your work is really important for our city, and the work that you're doing is also about ensuring the quality of life, not only of your community, but of all of us. So thank you for being here. Bonne chance. Merci.
Thank you.
Our
Madame la
next,
greffière.
oui, our next presentation is an administration presentation, les exposés de l'administration. C'est une présentation sur la culture et le patrimoine.
This is a presentation on culture and heritage presented by Sophie Cormier, the director of Resurgo. Good evening, Ms. Sophie. Good evening.
Ce soir, fait que c'est correct. Vous pouvez relaxer. There's no lessons you need to learn, or I'm just going to give you information. I want to say that we did work with our friends at Orléans, New Brunswick. They had a Welcome to Moncton event at our place, and last weekend we actually had an event with the Arab Culture Club at Resurgo Place as well. So happy to be the hub of many newcomers and new activities in town. Still, do I do this to change? Oh, perfect. I'm going to talk to you about a bunch of stuff that's happening this year at Resurgo Place and with our Heritage Building and our Visitor Information Center. So everything that the department covers. We'll talk exhibition, programs, public art, capital project, and pilot project. I'll start with the exhibitions. Currently, we have the exhibition Might and Light. That's on display all the way to April 27th. So if you want to come and see that, that's about black powder from China to America, how it evolved and how it changed. Cet été, nous allons avoir une exposition sur...
This summer, there will be an exhibition on Gérald Leblanc. This is an exhibit that we've created in-house, and I will talk about it a little bit later. This fall,
Revealing Necto, The Story Within, which has been created by Parks Canada, and that's going to start September 20th. But just because we were not busy enough creating a summer exhibition, we're going to have another one that we create this fall, which is going to be More Than Fire, about the firefighters, what their new roles are, what they do now. So that's going to be coming since they're celebrating their 150th anniversary. Gérald Leblanc, notre exposition va s'appeler Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire venir de Moncton?
Gérald Leblanc's exhibition will be about what does it mean to be from Moncton, Gérald Leblanc, 1945 to 2005. So we're celebrating his 80th anniversary of his birth or the 20th anniversary of his death. We have an exhibition that will be in place all summer. It will start on May 17th and will go until September 7th. For this exhibition, we had the opportunity of being approved to borrow from Gérald's archives. These are kept at in Ottawa at Library and Archives Canada. So we will receive about 20 pieces that were selected by Marc Chamberlain, the curator who's working with us. Also, we borrowed about 30 artifacts that come from the community, that come from the Acadian Museum, that come from Gérald's friends, from people who knew him. And so this will be a magnificent exhibit on Gérald's legacy, what he left to the city, what it meant to him to be from Moncton, how he influenced the city of Moncton. The vernissage will be on May 30th. The invitation will be sent to everyone so that you can add it to your agenda. And we are looking forward to seeing this exhibit. So I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek of what we've got so far. So this is an idea of the works we have and the objects that we'll have. You can imagine that one of the spaces that we're creating of the three is the cachot, and that is coming on in May. Then there is the 150th anniversary of the firefighter.
We received a grant from the province to help the commemoration. The commemoration will have an exhibition this fall, but it's not just the exhibition. It's going to be things year-round. One of the things you can see already is the new badge that the firefighters have on their cap, which says 1875. That's going back to the original badge. We also will have logos on the trucks, a social media post. There's going to be a retiree barbecue. That's June 11th. That's for the retired firefighters that are going to be present. There's going to be something special for them at that barbecue as well. For the general public, there's going to be a show and tell at Centennial Park. That's going to be August 9. So come and meet the firefighters, see their equipment, see what they do. Banners downtown and our exhibition, which is going to be starting October 4th. So that's it for exhibition for now. We do a lot of programs and activity. Currently, we have Discovery Lab. That's every Sunday. We have a different partner that comes and features what they normally do. A lot of our partners are seasonal or currently don't have a museum like Science East. So they come on Sunday, they take part of our learning center and they interact with the public. It's great for them, it's great for us, it's great for the visitors. So that's one that we do. We will also have Walk-in Wednesday again for people who are not familiar with Walk-in Wednesday. That is actually on Wednesday. And it's to come and visit our resource room. So if you come, you have a question, you want to know who lived in your house before, when your house was built, that type of stuff, you can come in on Wednesday without an appointment. You just walk in the afternoon and you can use our resource center and people are there to help you. During the summer, we tend to get out because it's nice and people are all over the city. So we have 3 programs that are outreach during the summer. Title board presentation, whenever the board is coming, half an hour before you come in the amphitheater, we tell you all the science behind it, you look at it, go by, and then we can discuss more after that if you want to. There's also riverfront walks that actually go backward in history. It starts at the Centennial Monument with Salter and kind of go back through history. Resurgo on the go is when we just use our bicycle and we drop in a different location and we tell you about the heritage of that place, that building, that park, wherever we're going to be. That's all through our social media. You can find out where we're going to be, when we're going to be there. Obviously, we'll have Heritage Week this fall again. Truth and Reconciliation Day. We participate in most of the festivals that are in town. If you were at Polar Fest last winter, if you went into the Igloo, you would have seen us. So a lot of programs and activity coming in. With those, we also have school programs. So school groups come to visit Resurgo Place and not just during the end of the year, not just May and June, although May and June for us is called school group season because we've got some pretty much every day. But thanks to our 2 programs, we have one program that runs September to April and one that's specifically for May and June. We actually receive school group year round. And we've had school group mostly from the greater Moncton area, but also from Miramichi, from PEI, from Nova Scotia sometimes. So they come from different places. One of the things I want to talk about specifically this year, because it's new and it's going very well, is our educational kit. So back during the pandemic, we figured out that they couldn't come to us, we couldn't go see them, and something was needed. Back in the days, they used to be educational kits, but that had stopped going out. So we asked for a grant, which we got, and we managed to repurpose, revamp, redo our educational kit to make them adapted to teaching in this day and age. And since we've launched them, they haven't stayed on the shelf. The people are really enjoying them. Different schools are getting them and using them. Apparently very user-friendly, very fun. We're getting a survey. We've got subject that people want us to explore. So far, we've got 2 different ones. So we've got shipbuilding and early school. We were asked for railway governance, not on the wrong sheet. Railway governance, monuments. So these other subjects will be coming up as well eventually. And that's completely free for the school to rent, and anywhere in the province, any school that wants it can have it for free. The only thing we ask is that they pay for the transportation. Most of the time somebody comes to Resurgo Place and pick it up, so it doesn't really cost them anything. But in case that they would be up north or around Edmundston or Fredericton or St. John, if they want to borrow them, we just ask that they pay for the transportation. The rest is up to them. So that's what we're doing with the school group right now. Public art, as you already know, you've approved Spirit of Reconciliation. So that's being built right now. And I think Joanne's going to come and do a presentation about the cultural plan in June. So you might actually see the work in progress. I've seen Brian at work on the structure. It's going to be quite impressive. This should be launched with the opening of the building in September of this year. Capital project, which is one of the main reasons why I'm here. We have a few things happening at Resurgo Place this summer and at Thomas Williams House. Parking lot modification, it's just so 18-wheelers can deliver exhibitions. Stairs, that's from Mountain Road to the main entrance because people are using the grass and we don't want them to fall. The leak, you've heard about it before. It's the cow catcher at the in the Transportation Discovery Center. It's going to be fixed as soon as it's nice. And the Thomas Williams House, it's the overall envelope. So I'm showing you here a little bit of why we need to really plug these leaks right now. We've got a maglev, which is one of the interactive that the younger children can use first. At some point, there was a jump in it because the material had lifted and then it stopped working. So we had to do some repairs and we don't want to have to keep doing that over and over. So finally, we can have that leak, well, I should say leaks plural because there's more than one, but that can be fixed and that's going to go through. Thomas Williams House, most of what's going to be done you won't see once it's done because it's the envelope. So it's going to be new stairs in the front, new stairs in the back, some repairs, some removal of a door, all in accordance with the heritage property. The one thing that you will notice eventually is that the lilac edge is going to be removed. And that's going to be replaced by a white picket fence. So we're going back to the original picket fence that you can see on the right here. And Thomas Williams House is going to be closed this summer because of all the repairs and all that. It would have been too hard to keep it open. So that's one of the major impact of those repairs is that the house is going to be closed. Visitor information, you know, we have Trice House that's seasonal. Resurgo Place is year round. The airport has a kiosk there. We are modifying that kiosk. We wanted to renew it completely, but because they're going to renew the terminal and our contract ends in 2017 with them, we're just going to modify it this year to make it more interactive. We're going to add a screen and a few different things so people at the airport get the information they need, because there's less and less brochures. And we're going to have a pilot project at Magnetic Hill. So we're going to have a visitor information center at the Wharf Village for 1 year as a pilot project to see if it works well over there, if it brings more people in town, if it answers a need. And I think that's about it. I think if you have any questions, I'm here.
Merci, merci Sophie. Conseiller Bourgeois.
Thank you, Sophie. Councillor Bourgeois. Thank you, Sophie, for your presentation. I do have a couple of questions. Forgive my ignorance. Do we have something for tourists, but also for newcomers? You know, some have asked me, you know, we don't know Moncton. Where do we go to learn about Moncton? Maybe Resurgo is the best point of access there, but is there an app or a QR code that people could scan either on their computer or in one of these establishments where they could access some sort of guide? Maybe a map of heritage sites in the city, for example, the plaque for Evangeline. Do we have anything like that? Well, there is a cultural interactive map that you can find on the City of Moncton. There's also a guide for newcomers. Maybe Kevin could speak more about this, but there is a guide for newcomers to Moncton.
Is the guide?
Kevin, is the guide online or available on cells?
It's online, but it's not an app, I don't think.
En tout cas, vous prenez ça comme suggestion, là, je trouve que ça serait une idée.
Well, this is just a suggestion. I think it would be a good idea for tourists, but by improving the kiosk at the airport, we'll be able to put a QR code that will bring you to the guide, to the website for the guides.
They'll notice when they get there. And we work with Moncton Care as well, so they often welcome people, so make sure that they know.
Parfait.
But send them to Resurgo Place, that's the right place.
Pardon?
Send them to Resurgo Place, that's the right place.
OK, parfait. C'est l'outil d'aujourd'hui.
So that's our new tool for today. You talked about renovations. I've never had any issues with heritage sites that are, let's admit it, British and loyalist. So how long have you been with the organization? 7 years. How much money has the city of Moncton invested in the Williams House, Trud House? Operational budgets are very limited because it's just to cover staff costs and etc. And operating costs such as taxes and those kinds of things.
Really look at the aspects of that are like, you know, recurring and all, and everything. As far as repairs, we didn't have to do anything until now with the Thomas Williams House. Trites House is fine, Free Meeting House is fine. I mean, it's got a coat of paint at some point. That was within like recurring maintenance and in the budget. We had one issue with Thomas Williams House, which prompted actually facilities to decide to do this whole envelope thing. But as far as the budget for that envelope, I'll let Alex answer. Like they actually had planned for even more, but it's I guess it's better preserved than we thought. So it's a good news.
Je voulais juste un estimé là, depuis.
I just wanted to get a rough estimate of the cost.
I have it in my notes, but I don't have it up.
Parfait. Combien est-ce qu'on a investi dans les sites patrimoniaux?
How much money has been invested in Acadian heritage sites?
It's the site patrimonial,
Williams House puis Trites House?
Ceux-là, oui. Ceux-là
Oui,
ne
OK.
sont pas des sites.
For those, yes, but they are not Acadian heritage sites. If there's any Acadian heritage sites, they're with the University of Moncton or Dieppe.
Ça, c'est pas nous. Ça, c'est Parc Canada.
Well, that's not us. I think it's Parks Canada. It's Canadian heritage. I don't want to get into a debate, but the city of Moncton is maintaining two heritage buildings, British heritage buildings and loyalist buildings. I am totally on board. But on the other hand, we're not doing anything equivalent for the Acadian heritage. Am I right in saying that?
For the museum itself, we have a division of responsibility. So the museums don't collect the same thing. So anything that's Acadian, if it was offered to me or the Moncton Museum, we would actually redirecting it to the University of Moncton because they're the one that collect Acadian artifact, Acadian stuff. It's not, I'm not addressing the buildings, but I'm just saying as far as the collections, we divide it to not overlap and to not like deplete one collection or the other.
OK, mais si tu lances le débat, moi, je suis prêt à lancer.
Well, I mean, if you're opening up the debate, I'm ready for that. So moving on to my next questions.
On n'appuie pas le patrimoine acadien.
I don't think we're supporting Acadian heritage anymore, and for a good reason, because it's all been destroyed because of colonization. So let's set aside the whole debate, historical debate, military debate, and cultural debate. But we know that there are specific sites. There was an old mill, there was an old chapel near the Marvin's building. There was an old mill close to the border with Salisbury. There was another building near Beausoleil and other Acadian villages. I don't know if much is left because it's all been burnt down or destroyed, but we know where they were located, and there might still be some landmarks that could be worth salvaging. So I know that Proper Acadie has tried to convince Parks Canada to install a plaque. Nation Prospère Acadie would like to perform a feasibility study concerning the rehabilitation of some of those Acadian heritage sites, not just in Moncton, but all along the Petit Kodiak River. So my question is the following: how would the city of Moncton help Nation Prospère Acadie to submit an application with the government of New Brunswick for support of a private funding campaign or something like that. So at least to perform a feasibility study in order to honor and recognize the Acadian presence before 1750, because it's basically our prehistory, if you want. There were Mi'kmaq and indigenous peoples before the arrival of the Pennsylvanian founding families. So is there any staff or anybody who could support them in preparing an application for funding? So the best way to do it would be for them to contact me as a first step. And then ideally this should be done in partnership with the University of Moncton. That's how we operate, generally speaking. We did an application for funding for the Modern Art Museum in the past. So if there's feasibility studies, we do support organizations or individuals in doing their funding applications. We provide an opinion, we provide necessary support. We can come back before the City Council to request additional support, whether it be through funding or resolutions or... So there's different options available. All they need to do is to contact us as well as our colleagues at the University of Moncton, and we'll see how we can move forward. I'd like to ask another question. So when it's Loyalist and British heritage, we never hesitate to do it. We do it ourselves, but when it's Acadian heritage, it is entrusted to the University of Moncton. So last year when we had our anniversary, we reviewed our collection policy. So it covers the period from the townshippers to today for the Moncton Museum, and Acadian heritage falls under the university. So all of the Acadian collections are under the responsibility of the University of Moncton. Anything that's related to the City of Moncton is our responsibility. Anything that's related to nature goes to the University of New Brunswick. So we need to divide responsibilities for those collections because we can't specialize in everything. But generally speaking, there's a lot of cooperation and partnerships with the University of Moncton. We could have an exhibition on Gérard Leblanc in partnership with the University of Moncton. We can cover oral history with one of the groups that graduated from the college that's going to be changed by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. So we had people come out last year, women, about oral history because it's part of the heritage of the City of Moncton. And because it's Acadian, we share it with the Studies Center. When we work on the Riverside Promenade, it has a historical aspect. We started with shipbuilding, then we go back to the shippers, and we go back to the Acadians, going even further back to First Nations. So it's all referred to on the Riverside Promenade. Just another comment. If we pride ourselves on being the only officially bilingual city in Canada, it's not just about language, it's also about culture and heritage. And I think that we are fairly limited in terms of supporting the Canadian heritage. That's my own personal opinion. And I will conclude on that. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for your responses. And thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Bourgeois. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Bonsoir, Sophie.
Hello.
This is kind of a blatant
Good evening, Sophie.
50th book, which to me is almost a work of art. The yearly calendars were amazing. This is staggering, and it's the pictures of Moncton of old, the newspaper coverage going back to the early part of the century. Mr. Cochran covered some of those fires over the years. I'm not dating you, Al, but I'm just promoting it, and a job well done to the people that put that together. It's astounding collection of photos, fire department members, equipment, and the coverage going back to the early part of the century. So if you haven't got a copy of the 150th, folks, find one in Moncton. I got mine at Sterling Apples, another blatant plug there for Sterling's off Shediac Road, but they're around the city at different locations. So I encourage you all to pick one up. It's a historical biography and a very comprehensive record of Moncton of old, especially through the MFDI. So job well done to the Moncton Fire Department, and it's a big anniversary year. Thank you, Sophie. Merci.
The credit for that book goes entirely to Al McNutt. So
Yes.
I really want to thank Al for his tireless work that he's done. It's essentially, it's a page turner. You can actually see lots of pictures, lots of newspaper article. Everything is well put together. It's a good book. We do have it at Resurgo Place as well, if you want to buy it there. But any location works.
Good. Thank you, Sophie. Merci. Thank you, Madame Adas. Thank you very much.
Merci, conseiller Kingston. Merci beaucoup, Sophie. Je vais
Thank you so very much, Sophie. I don't think there's any other question. So about the photos of firefighters. So how long can we go and see this exhibit? So it's for 2 months. So it will span October and November. And what about Gérald's exhibition? What's the dates? Let me check. From May 17th to September 7th. I am pretty sure that Gérald would be very pleased to see his exhibition presented at the same time as the exhibition on firefighters. This is amazing. Well, I hope everybody will go see the exhibition, and I hope people are going to leave memories, because there will be a space where people will be able to write some of their memories. We're going to have typewriter.
Commentary, just all in Gérald's spirit.
Merci beaucoup, Sophie. Je vois l'autre Sophie.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Thank you to you both. Madam Clerk.
And the first one up today is an introduction of a zoning bylaw amendment at 2 McLaughlin Drive. And I see that Sarah Anderson is here to give us the lowdown on this.
Bonsoir, Sarah.
Bonsoir.
Good evening, Sarah.
So this is an application to amend the permitted uses in the NC zone, which is the neighborhood convenience zone at 2 McLaughlin Drive, and that is to permit residential units on the main floor. So the subject property is located in the Sunnybrae area, and that is in Ward 1. So the property is located on the west side of the intersection of McLaughlin Drive and Elmwood Drive. This part of Sunnybrae has a pretty good mix of commercial and some medium density residential uses. In terms of the surrounding zones, it's mainly NC, neighborhood convenience, which is that pink color. There's also some R2U, which is an urban dwelling zone, some R2, 2-unit dwelling zone, and some MU, which is the mixed use zone. So here we see a rendering of the proposed project. It's proposed to be 3 stories in height. There are 10 residential units, including 2 residential units on the main floor. There's a medical office also proposed for the main floor, which is on that south side that we see here, which is the brick facade. So they are proposing fiber cement, wood, and cultured stone on the facade. All of these are considered to be traditional materials, which are the acceptable materials in our zoning bylaw. So here's the site plan. You can see the driveway access that's coming across the property to the south. The parking lot has 13 parking stalls and a bicycle rack. A fence is proposed around the perimeter of the site, which is to screen the property and the parking area from the abutting residential uses. There are trees and shrubs also proposed around the site as well, including some street trees along McLaughlin Drive. You can also see the commercial component that's located a little bit, it's sort of staggered a little bit, the frontage. So you can see that that commercial component is a little bit closer to the sidewalk with a walkway entrance, a walkway connecting the main entrance to the public sidewalk. So these are some elevation drawings, which just gives some views of the other sides of the building. And in terms of the recommendation, administration recommends that Moncton City Council proceed with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment being Z 222.45 for the property located at 2 McLaughlin Drive by giving first reading of the bylaw, by referring the bylaw amendment to the Planning Advisory Committee for its written views and for setting a public hearing for May 5th, 2025 at 4 p.m. in council chambers. The amendment, if approved, should be subject to a resolution with conditions, including but not limited to a number of conditions that are listed in your report. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Merci beaucoup, Sarah. Could I have,
Thank you very much, Sarah.
and Councillor Crossman. Donc, are there any questions? Councillor Crossman?
Thank you, Your Worship. Sarah, thanks for the presentation. I just have one quick question. On the map, you showed the driveway going over to Cross Street. That's going through another piece of property, that's correct?
Yes.
So that has been signed off, that has been, because I know that's an older home that is transitioned to many different things. I think there's an MLA office in there now and other things. So I just want to make sure that what I'm looking at tonight representing the citizens from Sunnybrae as well as the mayor, that this has been already established and signed off by that property owner.
Yes, it has been.
Okay, good. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. Thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci, Madame la maire. J'avais la même question que...
Councillor Bourgeois, thank you, Your Worship. So about the motion that will come after.
We will move on to the vote. Donc, it's electronic. C'est beau. So, Councillor Leblanc est pas là. So we have,
Councillor Leblanc is not here.
right, so it's unanimous. Merci. Madame la greffière.
Madam Clerk?
Excuse, Conseiller.
Thank you, Your Worship. Excuse me, Councillor Bourgeois, do you have a question now? Yes, please. You have the floor.
To answer this question, but I was reading the documentation over the weekend and it came to mind, we receive these requests. Are there any requests from developers or others, individuals that do not come to council, that are submitted to planning, but you guys and girls say, no, that's not gonna fit, we're gonna, refuse?
Yes, very many. A lot come to the planning department. We get a lot of tire kickers, if you will. We get a lot of people who are proposing to do things that may not necessarily align with policies or the vision in the municipal plan.
Out of 100, how many of them are, like you say, maybe not to say that very trivial, minimal, detail that don't respect policies or don't respect the legislation or regulations or whatever it is? And how many are big ticket items?
So how many do we sort of get and then how many actually go forward?
That do not come to council?
Gosh, it's hard to say. There's a number of, okay, I would say maybe 30 to 40% don't come to council.
Okay, so out of 100, 30 to 40 do not come to council. Out of those 30 to 40, I would suspect the vast majority of them are minor issues, but they don't respect the legislation for whatever. How many of those 30 to 40% are significant developments but don't make it to council?
Oh, if it's a significant development, for the most part, if there's a lot invested in it, they make it work. If it's in that, they come forward knowing what the rules are. They come forward with a vision that is pretty much in line with, there may be a couple of variances, but typically it's aligned with what we're looking for and what outlined in the municipal plan.
Because I've never heard of a developer that had a big project that was blocked by staff, but I have some on the trivial stuff. And to me, it's, well, the law says this, we're not going to go against this or the bylaw or the zoning, but they are entitled to appeal.
Absolutely. And they are entitled to make an application. We always make
Right.
that very clear. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we will work with them.
My concern, and you've alleviated it, is that there's no major project that stops at planning. It comes to council.
Usually, like I said, as long as it's not so out of line with what the municipal plan calls for, yes.
Okay, you're opening a can of worms here.
Would we, Monsieur le
I have
Oui.
a point of order.
Yes.
We're talking about zoning regards to McLaughlin and Massey, and we're getting off into a different topic here. So
We are.
we just stay with the agenda.
We've already voted on it.
Well, then, is this a statement of a councillor or what are we talking about?
I'm okay. I'll
May-
do it by email. Thank you.
Conseiller Bourgeois, maybe Elaine can answer that question with Elaine.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Bourgeois, just to your question, any proponent that comes forward with a proposal is allowed to come to council. However, sometimes staff won't support it, and we'll make that clear, but we'll tell the proponent that, they still are allowed to move forward with council with the risk of, not having the recommendation.
Yeah, that would great. If it comes to council and you say we don't recommend it, that's fine. I just don't want council, and I'll finish on this sentence. I don't want council to be ignorant of some of these applications. If they don't fit the legislation and everything else, that's fine. I just don't want to be caught with my pants down, that's all. Sorry for bothering council. Thank you. Merci.
Merci. On est rendu.
Oui. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Good evening again. Just wait for the. Okay. So another rezoning application. Right. So this is an application to rezone 1430 to 1450 Elmwood Drive from R2 two-unit dwelling to from R2 two-unit dwelling and SC suburban commercial to R3 multiple unit dwelling. So this application will accommodate 2 apartment buildings for a total of 73 residential units on the one lot. So the subject property is located in Ward 1, and this is along Elmwood Drive. The properties are currently vacant. As you can see, the subject lots have 2 different zones on them right now, the SC, suburban commercial, and the R2. So this application aims to rezone so that there's just one zone that's a consistent zone, and that would be R3. So in terms of context, the site is surrounded by a mix of different zones and different uses. We've got some R2 two-unit dwelling. We've got SC, suburban commercial. We have ID, integrated development. And across the street, there's also the AI, which is the air industry zone. So the proposed development is in the section of Elmwood Drive that is already widened to 3 lanes, which you can see in the image on the left. This allows for a left-turning lane into the development today. There is a sidewalk on one side and a multi-use trail on the other side in this area. So the proposed development will accommodate 2 3-story apartment buildings. So building A, which is the building at the top in this image, is proposed to have 38 units. And building B, which is the building on the bottom sort of right-hand corner, is proposed to have 35 units. And so the total proposed count is 73 units. The surface parking is proposed to be located behind the buildings, providing a more appropriate built form at the street line. The development proposes 83 parking spaces, including 4 barrier-free parking, and outdoor bicycle parking is also located at the back. The perimeter of the lot is landscaped, and there's a proposed fence along the rear yard where it abuts the R2 zoned land. So here we see the proposed elevations of the buildings. As shown on this slide, the exterior of the buildings are composed entirely of that traditional material that includes stone on the first floor and wood siding on the second and third floors. This meets and exceeds the required design standards for multiple unit dwellings within the R3 zone. And here we see a rendering of what is proposed to be Building B. So you see the stone on the main floor and then the wood siding on the upper 2 floors. So in terms of a recommendation, administration recommends that Moncton City Council proceed with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment Z222.44 by 1, giving first reading of the bylaw, 2, referring the bylaw to the Planning Advisory Committee for its written views, and number 3, setting a public hearing for May 5th, 2025. And the rezoning, if approved, should be subject to a resolution with conditions that are listed at the end of the report. So I am happy to answer any questions.
Merci beaucoup, Sarah. We have a motion, so could I have a Conseiller, Conseiller Crossman, you want to move the motion? And
Councillor Crossman, you want to move the motion?
so any questions? Councillor Crossman?
Thank you, Your Worship. Sarah, again, thank you for the presentation. I just have 2 quick questions before this moves on to the next stage so that maybe they can be answered in the next stage.
Sure.
One of them would be since we're going to have 70 some odd residents in the building, one would be a crosswalk symbol or light, not preferably the flashing lights, preferably a red, yellow, and green. I know nobody stops at the red lights anymore, but hopefully they do when there's a pedestrian involved.
Okay.
That would be one thing. And the second thing would be capacity of the infrastructure in the area. So knowing the area well, knowing that the city's worked with the province to update this area, I'd like to confirm that that infrastructure that's currently there will actually support this project.
Yes, and we did look into that. It is. Right now, if other developments are proposed that, right now, this is in the urban boundary.
Yeah.
And so, yes, whatever capacity we have definitely includes this lot, so there's definitely capacity.
And one last thing that, now that you just mentioned that within the urban boundary, is there some way that I can share this information with the local MLAs of the area as well as Department of Transportation? Because as you know, we're trying to get Elmwood Drive widened further down.
Yeah.
And this is additional housing. This is additional support for the area. So I think this should be, if you could give me some sort of indication as to how or what you would like me to share. I would like to have that because I'm having a meeting next Monday. So I was told today, off the cuff. And I'd love to be able to present this and give this to the right channels at the province, because I know the city of Moncton has already allocated an X amount of money to the widening of Elmwood Drive for safety reasons. And I'd like to be able to push this even harder.
Sure, in whatever format you need. Is it just a part of the report or presentation, images?
Part of even what we're seeing here today. I know this is just the, the first view of it, but if there's some way that you and I can maybe talk tomorrow,
Absolutely.
Put something together, that'd be great.
Sure, that sounds
Great. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Crossman. I believe Conseiller Richard is online.
Oui,
Bonsoir,
m'entendez-vous?
Bonsoir, Conseiller Richard.
Yes, can you hear me? Good evening, Councillor Richard. We can hear you pretty well.
Got a question on the driveway. Just wondering why that's located on Elmwood and not on Royal Oaks Boulevard. I know Councillor Crossman mentioned possibility of a light, but would there be possibility to move that entrance to Royal Oaks Boulevard instead?
The property doesn't actually abut the street. There is a strip of privately owned land that I believe is owned by the golf course that runs between the street and the subject property. It can probably be shown, you can probably see it on the aerial image in the presentation, if you could bring that back up. So it's a little bit hard to see maybe, but it is a very thin, but it is a strip of privately owned land on the left hand. And I can't highlight, I can't make the image any bigger, but it is there.
Okay, so because I can blow it up on my side.
Sure.
Between the red line and the yellow line, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So that same red line and yellow line are on Elmwood Drive side.
On the Elmwood Drive side, so it's.
Yeah, it's the same lines that are there, so I'm just wondering.
And maybe it didn't show up very well, but we definitely looked into that. But it is, because they don't have actual frontage on that street, it's not, we can't just force the driveway there through someone
No,
else's property.
absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense. Thanks for clarification. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, Conseiller Richard. Any other questions? No? We can go to the vote. So it's electronic. So the motion has been voted unanimously in favor. Merci à tous. Madame la greffière.
The final planning matter today is a tentative amendment, amending subdivision plan, City of Moncton subdivisions, Worthington Roundabout, and Sarah's here once again.
Busy night.
Well, Sarah.
Right, so administration has received an application for subdivision from the City of Moncton to create an extension of Ayer Avenue, to create a portion of Worthington Avenue, to create a portion of Mountain Road, and for parcel 25A to be transferred to the city. And so I'll go through those through this presentation. So the subject properties are located within the Wheeler Loop, and that's located in Ward 3. The properties are located in the Ayer Avenue area, and that's behind the New Brunswick Community College and the Northwest Plaza Mall on Mountain Road. The surrounding affected zones are PS, post-secondary, which is the blue, and SC, suburban commercial, which is the pink. So this aerial image shows the location with respect to the surrounding properties in the Ayer Avenue and Mountain Road area. So the area currently has bus service on Mountain Road in front of the community college and the Northwest Plaza Mall. And the purpose of this plan, I did go through them, but it is to create parcel 25A for transfer to the city, to extend Ayer Avenue, to create a portion of Worthington Avenue, to create a portion of Mountain Road, and to create 5-meter wide public utility easements along the proposed streets. So I will go through each of those. So in this image, the red highlights the new streets that are being considered tonight. The orange and blue areas were previously assented to by City Council in 2023. So parcel 25A, which is the long skinny strip going south parallel to Mountain Road, that is being transferred to the city. However, upon successful approval and subsequent registration of the tentative subdivision plan, this parcel, 25A, will then be transferred to NWC Property Holdings, Inc. And so this is being done to accommodate access to their property for delivery purposes for the businesses located at 1278 Mountain Road. So also, as previously mentioned, lot 25-1009, which is hatched and outlined in blue. So that was previously assented to by council in 2023. It is being acquired from SHX Developments Limited, which is Shanex, by the city for the purposes of being transferred to the province of New Brunswick to replace parking spaces that had been taken for the construction of Worthington Avenue from the roundabout to Mountain Road and for the extension of Ayer Avenue. And this will become a parking lot for use by the community college once a follow-up parcel transfer is completed. So these are just images of the tentative subdivision plan. So this one shows the proposed location of Ayer Avenue. So the Ayer Avenue extension has been built to an urban collector minor cross-section with a right-of-way matching the existing portion of Ayer Avenue, which is 20.117 meters wide. So this typical standard road has a sidewalk on one side of the street. However, in this case, we are extending that, exceeding that standard by having a sidewalk placed on both sides of the street to match the rest of Ayer Avenue. So this tentative subdivision plan shows the proposed location of Worthington Avenue and parcel 25A. So Worthington Avenue will also be constructed to an urban collector minor road standard with a right-of-way that aligns with the existing portion of the street. So it also includes typically a sidewalk on one side, but again, in this case, we will be exceeding that by adding a multi-use trail on the north side of the avenue. And this proposed tentative plan shows the proposed location of Worthington Avenue and Mountain Road. The portion of land that's being transferred from NWC Property Holdings, Inc. to the Mountain Road right-of-way is to accommodate the upgrades at the new Worthington Avenue and Mountain Road intersection. So in terms of recommendations, the Planning Advisory Committee recommends that Moncton City Council assent to the creation of parcel 25A, assent to the extension of Ayer Avenue Public, assent to the location of Worthington Avenue Public, and assent to the location of Mountain Road Public. And happy to answer any questions.
Merci encore, Sarah. So could I have a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Butler, do you want to move? And Conseiller Steves, please, seconded. You have a question? Please, go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Sarah. This is a great report. Just so when it comes back out to public and they see the map, we hadn't, I think it was last fall that we made a motion that we didn't want the land divided up when it had to be public works or public use, that we wanted one chunk.
Maybe could you bring up the map?
Yeah, so I just don't see anything there for public use.
Do you mean LFPP? No.
So when we went to start this,
Yeah.
parks, we had asked that when they were dividing it up, they were going to make this trail along a little bit here, a little bit there, and we had said, no, we wanted it one piece. But I don't see it on the map. I agree with the motion where you're going with the vehicles and stuff, but I'm wondering what's in this whole, when the map comes out, people are going to say, so, okay, so where is that
Where's it?
piece of property that we were asking for that we didn't want, we had motioned that it wouldn't be broken up?
So I believe this, if I'm understanding you correctly, so when the full development for that area comes in, we'll see all of that LFPP. We'll see the trails, we'll see the area for the park, we'll see all of those things. They're still working on the final details of that sort of master planned area. This file is just for this road section, and it's really just to have that road connected so it can start to be, well, I guess it's built now, but just to formalize that road so that the connection's in, because none of the development can happen until this road was in.
Fair enough, but the first colored map that comes out on your slide, in the next one up, I believe,
This-
right there.
Yep.
It has everything marked up, but it has nothing to do with, for Parks and Rec.
No, like I said, that will come out when the master planned area, when the area is master planned. I don't know if I'm,
Well, I know what you're saying, but I see up here on this map
yep,
that we see, there's nothing marked, but we're voting hopefully not to accept this map, just that little piece down at the end. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that, so I don't get calls saying, well, I thought there was a larger lot of property.
right.
We had agreed upon as council.
Absolutely. And yes, and that will be on another subdivision plan when the whole area comes in. But for right now, yes, it's showing that whole area, but only to provide context.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire. It's just a trivial question, but why are we extending Ayer but locating Worthington? Are we not also extending Worthington? What's the difference?
Good question. I'll ask Paul Edgar, our development officer, subdivision approvals.
Yes, Councillor Bourgeois. Because we're actually truly extending Ayer Avenue at this time, it is an extension because, and Worthington is not an extension because the portion from the roundabout to where it's currently built is not built yet. They are coming in this summer, so therefore it's just locating it. It's just typical terminology.
Okay. Thank you. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci beaucoup. No more questions. So we can go to the vote. It's electronic, right? C'est beau. Merci. So the vote is, we're unanimous, yes. Merci. Madame la greffière.
Oui, prochain, c'est les exposés des membres du conseil, statements by members of council. We have Councillor Butler has something this evening, and I believe you do. And Councillor Bourgeois does.
Conseiller Butler, and then Conseiller Bourgeois, and then I'll go after. Conseiller Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things that I wanted to find out here. Back in February 10th, we had a motion in private that we voted and passed on regards to working with, and I don't want to say too much here until we get the go-ahead from Nick, and I'm sure that Nick is listening very carefully to me here. So on February 10th, we had a motion that got passed regarding the city of Moncton and the Aquatic Center, and also to work with the YMCA in the North End, but it never came out. Why? It never came public. My understanding was that anytime that we make a motion and pass something within the private, that it should be coming out in public. Is there some reason why it wouldn't have?
Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
I don't have the details of that file. Could be a timing issue. There is an exception to that rule where if there's directions to administration, those items don't come to public for ratification. But I don't. Unfortunately, I'd have to look at what that file was and what that vote was. And we really can't discuss it here. But if you want to send me an email, I can probably.
All I'm asking for is some type of clarification why it hasn't come out. That's all.
Okay,
So I'm
I
sure
can
they
find that out.
get that back to me. All right. The next thing is with the last meeting we had with the RCMP superintendent, I had asked for 2 items to change back to reporting on the crime data on the map, the crime map, which was done. The second question was that what was the clearance rate? We were talking last time about the clearance rate of crime rate, and that was on March 17th. And as of today, I still haven't got anything back, so maybe I'll leave that with Mr. Preston, that he can do that, to find out why we haven't got the numbers back for 23 and 24, where we're going forward. They want us to go forward with 17, and we still haven't got the clearance from before, so I have to have something to compare to the known and the unknown. My third thing is that at the last meeting on February 17th, I also asked the CAO for a full report on the TransAqua March 17th. As of the date, I have not received anything and would like to know why we have, I had asked for the full report of what has happened regards to sitting with TransAqua board. And also I was advised that there was going to be something being spoken to regards to the tri-community. And I asked for a report written and I still haven't received it. So I would want to find out why that hasn't happened and when I can expect it.
Monsieur le Gérant.
Merci. So I spoke to the 2 other communities, Riverview and Dieppe, and we're working on a date for the next tri-community meeting, with TransAqua being put on the agenda, and it'll be done before the end of June is the indication of having the next tri-community council meeting. As for the report, sorry, I just forgot that one. I'll get it to you hopefully by the end of this week.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire. Je pense pas que personne soit surpris d'apprendre qu'on est.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think no one will be surprised to hear that we're in the middle of a federal election. About 6 or 7 months ago, the City of Moncton had organized a forum where we invited the candidates from each party that was presenting a candidate in the provincial ridings in Moncton. They were accompanied by their leader, which was even better. I received no negative comments about this. Everyone was very satisfied with how this went down. And then the city council, in the name of citizens, was able to ask questions to the political parties and their candidates, and they provided fulsome and impressive answers, and this from all parties. The results were what they were. Now we're in a federal election, and I would like to suggest, if possible, there's still 3 weeks left. It's not a very long campaign. We're already halfway through, but there's probably some time left to organize a similar event with the federal candidates in the Moncton-Dieppe area. This could probably be planned between now and the election. So this is a suggestion or a request that I'd like to make to the CAO and explore this as a possibility. Can we organize such an event? Thank you, Councillor Bourgeois. Mr. CAO, Could we organize such a meeting? I think it would be very interesting to present our major files. Thank you for the question. This is absolutely something we could try to organize. As you mentioned, Councillor Bourgeois, there are just a few weeks left, so tomorrow morning we can discuss this as we review the agenda, and we can see if we can find a date in the next few weeks. I think there are about 3 weeks left. Yes, exactly 3 weeks. So we'll come back to council with some options. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Doucette. I would like to say a few words as well. So I have a text to read. So thank you first and foremost for allowing me to take the floor today.
Appointed to the Senate of Canada. I want to officially thank Senator Arnold for her 9 years as mayor. This position requires courage, dedication, and leadership. And even if we didn't always agree, she accomplished her goals. Ce poste n'est certainement pas de tout.
This position is certainly one that requires hard work, but it is an honor and a privilege to work with colleagues and staff that we are surrounded by.
And everyone wants what is best for our city. Premièrement, merci aux collègues.
So first, thank you to the colleagues. We are so lucky to have such an engaged council.
I also want to recognize the dedication of our incredible staff. During the past month, you have assisted me with my queries about so many projects and issues. You have shown what a great team that we have really at the City of Moncton. So thank you. Moncton is thriving, and along with our successes comes the challenges. Nous sommes une ville et une région en plein.
We are a city and a region that is growing, but this comes with major challenges.
Have come a long way on this. Et je tiens ce soir.
And this evening, I would like to thank Mayor Yvon Lapierre and Mayor Andrew LeBlanc of Riverview for their precious collaboration.
Community has certainly leveled the playing field. Merci. I totally agree with those who say that we can only be as strong as our region. Since the municipal reform, our municipality has collaborated extensively with mayors from our Southeast region, especially through the work of the Southeast Regional Service Commission. The role and responsibility of this organization are fundamental to our success as a community and as a region. We have a commonality of issues such as affordable housing, public transportation, and public safety. Les besoins de collaboration entre nos villes et nos partenaires.
The importance of collaboration between our cities and community partners are absolutely imperative.
Not forget that our municipality is the fastest growing CMA in the country. We cannot isolate ourselves from issues happening elsewhere. We are part of the global village, and we are already seeing the effects and impact that the tariffs war could have on our cities across the province. Donc, nous devons continuer.
And therefore, we must continue to work hard, continue to collaborate at all levels of government and in our community networks. So thank you, dear colleagues. Thank you for this presentation. Madam City Clerk.
Private meetings, et rapports et recommendations des comités et réunions à huis clos. And this evening is recommendations from a private session of February 10th, 2025. Moncton City Council at its private meeting of February 10th, 2025 reports that the agenda for the private meeting of February 10th, 2025 was adopted and recommends the following. That Moncton City Council approve additional budget authority of $2.1 million setting Kodiak Regional Policing Facility Project and budget at $59,200,000 $59,201,000. The background on this, a project cost was originally budgeted for $57,177,130 in 2022, which included applicable net HST at 4.286%. The cost also includes facility construction costs, professional architectures, engineering and consulting services fees, land purchase and remediation, furniture and equipment, legal fees, and contingency fund. Given a number of unforeseen factors and expenses that have arisen, administration estimates an additional budget requirement of approximately $2.1 million for the overall project and is requesting council's approval to increase the cost of the total project to $59,201,000.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Could I have a mover, Conseiller Léger, and a seconder, Conseiller Kingston? So are there questions? Conseiller Butler, sorry.
Yep. Thank you, Your Worship. We're so far along, pretty well have to support it. But I will say that I'm not in agreement with when it starts off the background, the total project cost was originally budgeted for $57,177.130. In 2022, when this started out first, it started off at 46 million, then went up to 52 million, then it went up to 56 million, and now we're going to close to 60. So the original cost was never, when we voted first, was 57 million. But I just wanted to have that on the record. Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Butler. There are no other questions, so we could go to the vote. It's electronic. Thank you, merci. It's unanimous. Oui, yes. No,
We have
excusez-moi là.
Conseiller Bourgeois and Councillor Crossman nay votes.
So we have nay votes, Conseiller Bourgeois.
And Conseiller Crossman.
And Conseiller Crossman. Thank you, Madame la Greffière.
Next is it's a reports from administration, les rapports de l'administration. And there are 5 before us today, I believe. First off is city contract number W25C01AC, sewer separation, St. George Street East, contract number 1. The motion before council this evening is that city contract number W25C01AC, sewer separation, St. George Street East, contract be awarded to Eastco Construction, Inc. in the amount of $5,294,318.25, including HST, and that the budget for the project be set at $5,240,000, including net HST. Engineering, material, and contingency is also recommended that the contract be drafted and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the said contract and affix the corporate seal of the city of Moncton.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Could I have a mover and a seconder, Conseiller Léger? Conseiller Butler.
Conseiller Léger, un commentaire.
Je m'excuse, je n'ai pas compris.
Conseiller Léger, un commentaire.
Oh, you have.
Councillor Léger had a comment. Thank you, Your Worship.
So this is part of the next phase to bring us to the St. George Street construction. And so it is going to impact a significant length of Main Street from almost into, I think, into September, if I remember correctly. And so I'm just wondering what the provisions are. You did mention that you would contact some of the businesses and so on, and what are the plans? It's one of our entrances, main entrances to the city. And so maybe just elaborate on what this is going to look like and how significant will the street closures be? Will there be continual access, or will there be partial access and so on, just to have a better perspective?
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate the question. It's a bit unusual to have this project named St. George when we're actually not on St. George, but we thought it'd be really important to stress the fact that this is really what's driving the project is the sewer separation. And as you mentioned, Conseiller Léger, we plan to get this storm sewer pipe to St. George eventually in future phases. I think what's important to note here is that, yes, we do have a construction schedule that is approximately 4 months long. However, it doesn't mean that we will have street closures for 4 months. There are really different kind of pieces to this this project. If I may kind of break it down just a bit, we'll start to see some activity. One of the first phases will be to install that storm sewer pipe into the Petitcodiac River, and we'll be working into the Chateau Moncton parking lot. And that's when we'll start to impact the Riverfront Trail. So that's going to start early April. And we expect that the trail closure will probably be around about 2 months for the Riverfront Trail as a closure. So there will be a detour for that. So I think it's important to highlight as well, not only lane closures for vehicular traffic, but also that main trail, which is the Riverfront Trail. So again, cyclists and pedestrians will be directed to the north side of Main Street for that approximately 2-month period. If you look at the map that was provided, there's 2 components to the work. There's the actual pipe installation, which will be along, again, next to Chateau Moncton, but also along Main Street up to King Street. And there's also the street resurfacing project, which I have to specify that the province of New Brunswick has also is funding this project. So what we expect to see starting in early May is the resurfacing of the components that are not involved with the pipe work. So to put it in context, it would be paving from the Dieppe city limits up to Chateau Moncton / Superstore, and also the other extremity, which would be from Mechanic Street to King Street. So the extremities of that project do not have any pipe work related to it. So that's going to be faster work because we're talking about just removing the top layer of asphalt and repaving. So that will happen in mid-May. So the bulk of the project will really be the installation of that pipe, and that's when there's going to be a lot more impact. And so the pipe itself is not the entire length of what you see on your maps. It's just from essentially Chateau Moncton to King Street. And that will happen just get my bearings here. That will happen starting in mid-May and up to about mid-July. And during those times when we're installing the pipe along Main Street, there will be some lane reductions, not lane closures, but lane reductions. As you can appreciate on that section of Main Street, we now have 5 lanes of traffic that we can really play with. We expect there'll be 2 lanes of traffic related to the construction of the pipe. So that means at all times, we expect to have at least 2-way traffic on Main Street, but it's a lane reduction. So obviously we expect there will be some impacts. The major impact will be when we're trying to cross that storm sewer pipe from the south side of Main Street to the north side. And that's the work that will take place right at King Street. That's going to be the major impact, which will be probably around a month of work just to get across there. What we're looking at from a scheduling point of view is that will happen in July, where we've seen that the traffic is a little less on our streets in July because of vacation, because there's no school. So hopefully that's going to time perfectly that way. But there will be some major detours in place and some impacts. I just want to point out we're meeting with our communications team this week, following pending the approval of this contract, so we can really establish a communication plan, because we realize this is not your typical residential street reconstruction. It's got an impact. As far as the access, it's always our goal to have access to businesses open at all times. Most of these businesses have 2 driveways or a shared parking lot, so we will only close 1 access at a time. So there will be some communication as part of that. So hopefully I kind of explain some of these or kind of share some of these concerns. And we understand there's going to be some impact on traffic, obviously. But again, working with our communications department, we hope that we will mitigate these impacts.
And then the total project is expected to be finished in September.
That's correct. Right now, early September is what our completion date is. And depending on the progress and how many crews the contractor decides to put on site, we've seen certain contractors finish before the completion date. We do have a bonus penalty clause in our contract, as you're aware. So that's an incentive for contractors to finish earlier. and it's definitely better for the businesses and all our users for sure if we can finish earlier.
So can I perhaps request that there be clear signage? Because this is obviously a big project. Before I forget, when you indicated that you're going to begin the construction at Chateau Moncton, in their parking lot,
Yes.
are they aware that we're going to be doing, have those conversations happened already? Just the trail portion is one thing, the parking lot portion is another?
Of course, yeah, those conversations happened actually last year. In December of last year, we sent out a notice, just kind of heads up notice to all the affected businesses. The work is coming, but we had some more detailed conversations with Chateau Moncton, obviously, because we are installing a pipe through their parking lot. So there are construction easements that need to happen. So those conversations have already happened, of course, yes.
In previous big projects like this, there were some lessons learned. Some of the businesses that may or may not have known who to call, they were surprised. All of a sudden they arrived and their driveway that was supposed to be open was now blocked, and who to call and so on. So can we get some assurance that maybe you'd have or perhaps you already have this, where there's a designated line that is very clear to the business owners and people impacted that this is what's happening? And maybe even go a little further. It would be really nice for people who don't listen to what we're discussing here today, that perhaps get their news in different forms, that we have some type of I'm a big fan of putting up a board that would indicate this is the major project on Main Street and this is what it looks like. And so you can see visually, and I've seen that in different cities where I arrive there as a visitor, and all of a sudden I'm in a construction site, but at least I know what it is that they're doing and what to expect, and also what it is that the end point is. So
yeah,
perhaps that's something we can do. And my last question is, when you do that transition from the south side to the north side or vice versa, that's in July, I assume, because and so does that take you from July into September, or is it?
The actual pipe crossing Main Street, we're looking at starting early July and finishing early August. So the last part of the project would be the resurfacing of that middle block.
Okay,
Yes.
so therefore there will be periods that'll be really concentrated, and then there'll be periods where it'll just be crushed stone and it'll be rough, but people will still be able to transition and so on.
Correct. And if I appreciate the comment you made about the signage, and that's why we're meeting with our communications team this week. There's certain things that can be done. There's a proper way to go through a construction site when you have, 2 lanes go down to 1 lane. It's not lining up starting in Dieppe and everyone kind of queuing. It's actually maximizing those 2 lanes and waiting until the end to merge, and what's been called a zipper merge, which has proven to increase capacity through that zone, but unfortunately people don't really use that. So we want to kind of share those thoughts with communication team and see how we can get the message across. And we've also talked with Dieppe already on the riverfront trail closure, and that impacts our traffic as well. So there's definitely some collaborations there.
And will there be ways to encourage different routes, like encourage traffic to go different ways, so that people are, who are used to going on Main Street all the time may not necessarily choose that route. They may decide to go other routes. So there's those things. And my last point is, when I witnessed something that was really, to me, quite, it was refreshing, because the city had initiated this, and it was during the Shediac construction, because their Main Street was really blocked. And they went so far as to create some signs specifically for some businesses. So if you were entering Shediac and you wanted to go to the lobster shop, well, that whole area was completely under construction, and they had directional signs specific for the lobster shop to bring people around. And so I think that was quite innovative, and it really showed an interest. So, and I would maybe encourage you to perhaps speak with Downtown Moncton Centreville Inc. and bring them along. And I think this will be maybe a good test for what St. George Street residents and businesses can expect as we go to the next phase, which will be the beginning of those transitional sections on St. George Street. So anyway, thank you very much, and thanks for the details. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I just like to add, you're somewhat summarizing my day. We had a meeting with DMCI this morning to talk about this project in Westmoreland, and we also mentioned how this could prepare us for St. George Street, which will be another level. Yeah, thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Great questions, conseiller Léger. Moi, j'ai une question pour vous, René.
Oui.
Donc, ça va se faire.
I have a question for you, René. So this will span summer. Will this affect tourist season? Is this going to affect tourists? Because I know there's a certain amount of events that are planned for Main Street during the summer. Is that going to have an impact on it? Yes. As for the calendar, work will start late spring and finish late summer, so it will have an impact. And we are going to block the part of the street where events are going to be held. So that's the benefit here. We'll still be able to have our events on the Riverside, in the Riverside area for Canada Day, etc. And it will have a very limited impact on pedestrian access. So access to downtown for sure will be impacted because there's going to be lane reductions. But it's not going to be 4 months of intense construction work. There's going to be several phases. Some phases will be more intense than others and will have more of an impact on traffic than others. So in terms of car traffic on Main Street that we see in July, this will not be impacted? No, not at all, because we're not going to work on that section of the street.
Merci, unanimous. Donc,
Thank you.
Councillor Butler was absent for the vote.
Madam
10.2 is tender TCS 25012 water treatment plant ozone upgrades. The motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council approve the award of tender TCS 25012 water treatment plant ozone upgrades to the lowest bidder, meeting all terms and conditions and specification being Edgeline Construction Limited for the total tendered price of $17,223,550, including HST at 15%. It is also recommended that a contingency allowance in the amount of $861,177.50, including HST at 15 cents, which is representing 5% of the total tendered price, be established for this project to address any additional construction-related expenses due to unknown site conditions or unforeseen project requirements. It is also recommended that a contract be drafted and the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign said contract and affix the corporate seal of the city of Moncton thereto.
merci, Madame la Greffière. Could I have a move?
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Appui. Donc, et vous avez une question? Donc,
So you are seconding the motion and you have a question? Thank you, Your Worship.
All right, first question, I guess. Are these upgrades, as we go along, integrated into the fees charged to Riverview and Dieppe? À chaque fois qu'on a un projet additionnel comme ça?
Because every time we have an additional project like this one, are we gonna turn around and ask Dieppe and Riverview to pitch in? Since we're going to have to spend $17 million, are we gonna have to increase the rates we charge?
Oui, c'est bien ça. Donc, c'est nous autres qui...
Yes, you're right. We take care of all of the assets. So this will be funded, and this will be funded through our operational budget. And then we will charge Dieppe and Riverview based on the formula that's effective at that time. So the amount plus interest, is that going to be calculated over 10 years, 15 years? For a project this size, it will be done over 10 years. Perfect. Thank you very much for additional information. Thank you, Councillor Bourgeois.
So it's passed unanimously. Merci.
Next is 10.3. It's a tender TCS 25006, patching of asphalt, concrete paving Zone A. The motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council approve administration's recommendation to award tender TCS 25006, patching of asphalt, concrete pavement Zone A to the lowest bidder, meeting the terms and conditions and specifications set out in the tender, being Modern Construction 1983 Limited, for the total tendered price of $1,159,890, including HST at 15%, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to execute a legal agreement between the city and the successful bidder and to affix the corporate seal thereto.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Could I have a mover?
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Et,
Councillor LeBlanc and Councillor Kingston. Thank you.
personne. Donc, any questions, please? No questions, donc we go to the vote. Motion passed unanimously. Merci. Madame la greffière.
Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
TSC 25007, patching of asphalt, concrete paving Zone B. The motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council approve administration's recommendation to award tender TCS 25007, patching of asphalt, concrete paving Zone B to the lowest bidder, meeting the terms and conditions and specifications set out in the tender, being MacArthur's Paving and Construction Co. Inc., for the the total tendered price of $1,184,557, including HST at 15%, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to execute a legal agreement between the city and the successful bidder and to affix the corporate seal thereto.
Could I have a mover and a seconder for the motion, please? Conseiller Richard?
Councillor Richard, are you seconding the motion? Sorry, I couldn't hear. We're all good. Thank you very much. I need someone. So Councillor Steves. Councillor Léger.
Indicated it starts on May the 12th and it ends, well, for the arterials, June 27th, and then for everything else in July. What happens between now and May the 12th for a lot of the deep potholes that are out on some of the areas? For example, St. George Boulevard has several major craters. Although I've seen I saw the truck out a week and a half ago. It looked like it was the machine that we purchased at one time, whatever it is, the warm asphalt system. I'm just curious. I mean, there are more and more holes. I understand that the roads are deteriorating, but I'd like some confidence that we're going out there patching holes, and how do the general public know that? Because I can tell you, I, over 2 weeks ago, reported the ones on St. George Street. And except for the one that I saw in front of Ford's Pharmacy that they filled, I'm not looking to see that anything, it doesn't look like anything is done. And perhaps there is, and I guess the question is, if it is, then I stand corrected, but I'm just trying to figure out what's in place so that the general public would know.
Mr. Morehouse.
Can you push the button? Right on the, right there. Yep. Well, you didn't push there you go. Now you.
Am I doing right? Okay. Good questions. Springtime is obviously a time where we do see these things happen. This year has been a little bit unique compared to other winters. The utility department is another area that generates holes in the road from digging up water breaks. And this year they've had, I believe, 31 of them. So last year we were able to purchase a new recycling unit, which we refer to as our Bigella, and it works, and it has actually generated 400 ton of asphalt over the winter to try to address what you're saying. So So there's two categories of holes, ones that are generated from utility cuts, and there's ones that are also generated from our spring breakup pothole situation. So there is crews going out on a regular basis. Whenever the opportunity arrives, that's the first thing we go do every morning. We fire up our recycler unit and we activate our crews to go and try to fill these holes, right? But the problem is obviously there's a priority basis of where we go. So we have to go to where the highest traffic and the highest risk is. So, but you do bring forward a good point. How do we communicate that to the public? At this point, right now, a service request is given to us, which we do recognize when we do receive it, and we try to activate into our work plan to, based upon priority basis, which pothole to fill first or cut is causing the greatest problem. But we could look at, I do agree with you, there is probably other ways to post information on our website or through our social media to help understand we are working at it as fast as we can.
Thanks. No, and I understand that, and we did move forward with a way for the general public to go online and report an item, right? And therefore, it generates the request and so on. But there's got to be visuals as well that we could, even apps are available that you can be on the road and you can tag where the pothole is. And then we should be able to tell the general public that, yeah, you know what, we filled that pothole and so on. And I think, hopefully maybe we can't do it this year, but maybe we should look at something that comes before council if it's a budget item in the fall, in November, that says, okay, we're going to improve the way that we generate work. And so that, the residents can thank staff for doing what it was that they asked them to do, which they did, but right now they don't know unless they happen to, see them really doing it, or, somebody mentions it, and so on. So I think that's a gap. The other piece that I would say for this patching season is I'm hoping that somewhere along the line there's coordination between the crews that go out and patch a whole length of street, and then we come up later and we paint the lines, and we don't have lines painted, and then all of a sudden we find this whole patchwork of patching over painted lines, and unless the intent is to go back. I think last year it was a great job in terms of that coordination. So hopefully we can do that again this year. And I think my last point will be, appreciating that it is difficult. It would be nice to be able to have a better idea as to what's being done. But I thank you too for some of the lanes that were changed, the way that they were reconfigured. I use St. George Boulevard as an example. You reconfigured the entrance to Bernice McNaughton, and crews went out recently and painted lines again to at least, direct the traffic to try to get them used to that. And I appreciate that, and certainly it's not easy. And I'm not criticizing, but I think it's an opportunity for us to learn, to maybe give more information and make it, easier for you, Don, and the crews.
Yeah, no, that's all appreciated. Good feedback. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Légère. No other questions, so we can go to.
Thank you, Councillor Légère.
So it's a unanimous vote. Merci à tous. Madame la Greffière.
Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk.
S-25008, Utility Cuts 1. The motion before council is that Moncton City Council approve administration's recommendation to award tender TC S-25008 Utility Cuts to the lowest bidder meeting the terms and condition and specifications set out in the tender, Birch Hill Construction Limited, for the total tendered price of $699,660, including HST at 15%, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to execute a legal agreement between the city and the successful bidder and to affix the corporate seal thereto.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Could I have a mover and
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Conseiller Kingston?
Councillor Leblanc, Councillor Kingston.
questions. So on the questions, electronic vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci, Madame la greffière.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Municipal, and council has given me permission to give these two readings, first readings, and they will be posted online at www.moncton.ca if anyone wishes to see them, and we can send them via email, snail mail, whatever way. Just contact the city clerk's office. The first is 11.1. It's a bylaw and amendment of a bylaw relating to the adoption of the City of Moncton's municipal plan, being bylaw Z222.45, zoning bylaw amendment for 2 McLaughlin Drive. It's the first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant l'adoption du plan municipal de la ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z222.45, modification de l'arrêté de zonage de promenade McLaughlin. C'est la première lecture. 11.2 is a bylaw and amendment of a bylaw relating to the adoption of the City of Moncton's municipal plan, being bylaw Z222.44, zoning bylaw amendments 1430, 1450 Elmwood Drive. It's the first reading. Un arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant l'adoption du plan municipal de la ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z222.44, modification de l'arrêté de zonage 1430, 1450, promenade Elmwood Drive. C'est la première lecture.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Prochaine.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to the next item, avis.
Le premier, it's the
So for the first one, it's the
in the media's package as well. If we could have a mover and a seconder.
Yes, could Conseiller Légère and Conseiller Adjut. Donc, et on passe, est-ce qu'il y a des questions?
Councillor Légère and Councillor Adjut. Are there any questions?
Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Next is a resolution for general bylaw officers. Now therefore be it resolved that Ashley Veneris, Oliver Hunt, Tanya Burke, Jose Martin, Caitlin Allen be appointed bylaw officers for the City of Moncton, that they be authorized to enforce any bylaw or any applicable act and regulations and any amendments thereto. Be it further resolved that Ashley Veneris, Oliver Hunt, Olivier Hunt, Tanya Burke, Jose Martin, and Caitlin Allen be authorized to carry out any inspection, enter any land, building, premises, other structures, and dwelling units, and take any such actions, exercise such power, and perform such duties as they may deem necessary, and as may be set out in any bylaw or any applicable act and regulation, and any amendments thereto, to enforce any provisions of any bylaw and any applicable act and regulations and any amendments thereto. And be it further resolved that Ashley Veneris, Olivier Hunt, Tanya Burke, Jose Martin, and Caitlin Allen be authorized to act for and on council's behalf, and are hereby designated and authorized as persons who in name, informations, and in any other proceedings may be laid or commenced for an offense under any bylaw or any applicable act and regulation pursuant to the sections noted in the act referenced above, and designated and authorized to issue notice, orders, and demands, and any other similar documents as prescribed by and provided in the Local Governance Act and or any other act or bylaw of council.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Could I have
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councillor Butler moves, seconded by Councillor Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la maire. C'est juste une question.
Thank you, Your Worship. A short question. Are those new positions or are those existing positions that are filled by different people?
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
questions? So we'll go to the vote. Electronic. Motion carried unanimously. Merci. So,
Nothing else, just adjournment.
oh,
We
uh,
conclude la réunion.
Conseiller Richard, are you there?
Councillor Richard?
Adjourn the meeting?
Oui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Bonne soirée.
Yes, please. Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Today. On l'a remis à plus tard. MID?
Municipal plan.
Municipal plan review.